Hey guys, tonight we're doing something a little different. We're going way, way back, not to ancient Egypt or Babylon or even the Ice Age. That would still be too recent. No, tonight we're cracking open the forgotten chapter that came before all of that, back when humans were just getting the hang of not dying every other week. Before cities, before writing, before the word medicine was even a thing, there was smoke. And not just any smoke. Smoke that changed how we felt. Smoke that told stories. Smoke that made the world seem bigger or weirder. You're gonna love this one. And just a heads up, you probably won't survive this. I mean, you personally will, assuming you're tucked in under a blanket and not in a Paleolithic hut with a bunch of sweaty hunter-gatherers lighting unknown roots on fire. But if you were there, yeah, it wouldn't end well. Lungs weren't ready, minds weren't ready, and yet curiosity burns hotter than a cooking fire. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And drop your city and time in the comments. I want to know which part of the world is tuning in and when. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. It starts in a world where you can't read the stars yet. You can name a tree if it feeds you or kills you. There's no history, no bedtime, no word for ritual or sacred, just the cold bite of wind, the fire you've learned to keep going, and the slow, cautious wonder of realizing that some things, when thrown into the flame, make the air behave strangely. Let's say you're crouching next to a communal fire. Your tribe's been here for generations, although nobody calls it that. You eat what you find, sleep when it's dark, and you're alive because someone older remembered which mushrooms not to eat. But tonight, someone throws a handful of dried leaves into the fire, because why not? You're cleaning out a pouch, maybe, or someone brought back a plant with a weird smell. The smoke curls upward, bluish, heavy, unfamiliar. You catch a lungful before you even think to flinch. It's bitter and warm. It coats your throat like something sticky and alive. You cough, so does the guy next to you. And then you feel it, a warmth that's not from the fire, a creeping softening behind your eyes. Laughter bubbles up, totally inappropriate given that no one said anything funny, but someone else starts giggling too. The fire becomes a living thing. It dances more than usual. Your friend's face warps in the firelight, suddenly godlike or monstrous. The stars overhead start to move in a slow spiral, not falling, not spinning, but turning in a way that feels intentional. You've just smoked something unusual, accidentally. Congratulations. Now, in our time, we'd call this a psychoactive effect. Maybe it was cannabis or some primitive version of it, or dried datura, which definitely sends people on uninvited spirit quests, or wormwood, or a crushed frog skin someone forgot to wash off their hands. The specifics totally lost, but the moment that stuck, because something about smoke, not chewing, not drinking, did something different. It got inside you faster. It shaped the air around the group. It felt like a message, a warning maybe, or a gift. This might be the earlier spark of ceremony. Not just survival, not just nourishment, but something beyond. The weird trick of the human brain that lets it say, this isn't normal, this is something more. It's also the birth of something nobody asked for, the first mind bender. You didn't sign up to hallucinate your ancestors in the fire or see the sky blink at you. But here you are, holding your knees to your chest, watching a thin trail of smoke snake toward the heavens and wondering if it's carrying your thoughts with it. Here's a historical fact to ground us a bit. Archaeologists have found charred plant residues in ancient hearths, dating back more than 12,000 years in places like Central Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. Some of those plants had no known nutritional value. They weren't food, they weren't fuel, so what were they doing in the fire? One fringe theory? They were early spirit plants, not cultivated yet, not even consciously used, just noticed, maybe even feared. A group might burn them to test their power or to mimic lightning's effect on the natural world.
There's a theory that these early societies believed that burning certain roots or leaves let them talk to the storm. And here's where things get even more interesting, because it probably wasn't about getting high the way we think about it. That's a modern recreational framework. Back then, a weird sensation wasn't fun. It was dangerous, sacred, maybe even divine. Which raises the scholarly debate: did ancient people intend to get altered by smoke, or were they just curious and stuck with what didn't kill them? Some anthropologists argue that early humans were accidental psychonauts, stumbling
into altered states without understanding what was happening. Others say the opposite, that these effects were exactly what they were after, and that culture, religion, and maybe even language itself sprouted out of these early experiments with consciousness. You, sitting by that fire, wouldn't have the vocabulary for any of this. All you'd know is that tonight feels different. The world feels wider. Your breath feels heavy. Someone across the fire just said something profound or total nonsense, but either way, you'll remember it forever. Because this moment, this one moment of shared smoke and shared vision, it's about to become ritual. Maybe it'll be repeated. Maybe next time you look for that plant. Maybe you build a story around it, a myth. Maybe the tribe calls it the breath of the sky or the root that listens. And just like that, fire stops being just warmth. Smoke stops being just the price of flame. Now it's something else, something unusual, something with meaning. You don't remember exactly how it started, but now, months or maybe years later, it's become a thing. Not everyone does it, but when the days grow short and the wind howls through the animal skins strung over your hut's entrance, someone always pulls out the dried stuff, the leaves or bark or bundled moss, and tosses it on the fire like a quiet dare. The smoke rises, thick and sweet or bitter and biting, and the group leans in as if waiting for the air to change its mood again. You've gotten used to the edge of dizziness it brings, the soft echo inside your own thoughts. It's not like hunting, where everything is blood and speed and sun in your eyes. This is slower, stranger, and for reasons no one can explain, it always happens at night. You're not sure if that's tradition or superstition, but trying this during daylight feels like tempting something best left in the dark. Now, imagine we pan the camera thousands of miles away, deep into Ice Age Siberia. Think freezing wind scouring treeless plains, the crunch of snow under rawhide boots, and mammoth bones piled into makeshift walls. These are the ancestors of the people who will eventually spread across Eurasia and into the Americas, and they're doing something weird inside their domed huts. They're burning herbs. You wouldn't call them shamans, not yet, but there's always one person in the group who knows which plants smell like gods when burned. They're not just throwing things in to make it smell nice. They believe the smoke carries messages to the spirit world. Some of the herbs are mild and cleansing, think early sage. Others are more intense. One in particular grows only in the rocky soil near the mountain's edge, and they only gather it after a lightning storm, believing the gods charge it with something extra. Tonight, the shaman, or proto-sham really, has everyone seated in a circle. The fire is small, but the tent is sealed, and the air thickens fast. Smoke slithers through the stillness. You feel it tickle the back of your throat. Your vision doesn't blur exactly, but it starts to shimmer like the heat off a summer rock. That's when the singing starts, not in words, but in low rhythmic hums. They say it helps guide the spirits to the right place, or keeps the bad ones out. Interpretations vary. From the outside, it probably looks like a smokehouse with a cult problem, but from the inside, it feels like standing at the edge of a dream, fully awake. Here's the historical anchor. Archaeologists have unearthed burial sites in Siberia, especially around the Altai Mountains, dating back over 5,000 years, where cannabis residues were found on ritual artifacts. One particularly famous site revealed a kind of portable stove with scorch marks and hemp seeds inside. No one packed lunch in it. This wasn't food. This was fire medicine. And if you're wondering whether this was all serious and somber, think again. There are accounts, some historical, some inferred from burial goods, that suggest these early rituals were anything but stoic. Laughter was common.
Movement, even dancing. trances, the kind of wild, unsupervised chaos that only happens when people genuinely believe the world is porous and the other side is listening. Fringe detail. Some ethnobotanists suggest these groups didn't just burn herbs, they mixed them, a blend of psychoactive roots, lichen, and maybe even animal parts, all reduced to ash and inhaled. One particularly bizarre theory argues that some Siberian tribes learned to drink the urine of reindeer who had eaten hallucinogenic mushrooms, filtering out the worst toxins and keeping the visions. Yes, you heard that right, reindeer pee. And no, that's not even the weirdest part of the story. Scholarly debate comes in hot here. Were these substances used only in ritual, or did some groups smoke casually? Like, was there an Ice Age equivalent of lighting up after a long day of spear throwing? Some archaeologists think no, that the effort to gather and prepare these plants was too great for everyday use. Others argue the exact opposite, that the line between ritual and recreation didn't exist yet. If your worldview is animistic, where every rock and tree has a spirit, then every fire is a potential portal. You shift in your seat, eyes watering from the smoke, heart beating a little too hard for comfort. There's a drum beating now, probably a stretched animal hide over a hollowed-out bone, and it syncs perfectly with that strange feeling in your chest. The shadows on the tent wall don't move like they're supposed to. Someone whispers your name, but no one is speaking. It doesn't feel scary exactly, but it does feel bigger than you, like the air knows something you don't. Later, once the fire dies and the tent flaps open to the icy night, no one really talks about what happened. You'll share meat, trade stories about the hunt, maybe tease someone who fell asleep sitting up, but no one puts words to the deeper parts, what you saw, what you heard, the feeling that just for a moment, the fire was listening back. And it doesn't matter if it was real enough to repeat, again and again, generation after generation. The ritual smoke becomes a doorway. Sometimes it's reverent, sometimes it's strange, sometimes someone doesn't come back from wherever the smoke took them, but still they keep lighting the herbs, still they breathe in deep, still they sit in circles and hum into the rising air, hoping to make contact with whatever's just on the other side of that flickering veil. Because once you've seen the fire blink, once you've tasted smoke,
That thinks you can't not wonder what else is out there. You wake up to the sound of insects, not the pleasant kind. No crickets chirping in the night, no soft buzz of honeybees. These are sharp, aggressive things, wings that slice the air and legs that click against bark. And it's humid, not the sort of gentle morning mist that kisses your skin. No, this is a thick, wet suffocation. You can taste the dirt, smell it in your teeth. You're deep in the African rainforest, long before maps, long before countries, before anyone thought to name the continent anything at all. But you're not alone. You've got a small group with you, a clan that moves from stream to stream, tracking elephants and gathering yams the size of your head. You know which tree oozes the sap that keeps parasites out of wounds, and which one causes a rash that makes you scream. And around your neck, tied in twine, is a pouch filled with roots, one of which you would never eat. But burning it, that's a different story. This root, gnarled, ugly, pulled from a swampy creek bed, smells like moldy oranges and angry gods. Someone in your group swears it wards off spirits. Another says it makes them dream in full color even while awake. But no one eats it, not twice. The last guy who tried that couldn't stop vomiting and claimed the tree started talking. So naturally, someone decided to throw it in a fire instead. And that's where tonight finds you, crouched in a circle of bare feet, a few embers left from the cooking fire and the root beginning to sizzle. It doesn't smoke right away. First it sweats, then it bubbles, then pop. A hiss of gray vapor, thick and oily, slides into the air like a serpent. You breathe in, mostly because you can't help it. It hits the back of your mouth like spoiled pepper and numbs your tongue. And then it starts the slow stretch of time, the ripple across your vision, the sensation that your skin is no longer yours but part of the forest floor. Your chest feels light, but your hands feel like they're filled with water. The canopy above shifts and bends, not from the wind, but from something deeper,
like the sky is exhaling too. What you've just inhaled may very well be an early form of iboga, a shrub native to Central Africa whose root bark contains powerful psychoactive alkaloids. Today, it's used in traditional booty ceremonies in Gabon, where people seek visions, healing, or contact with ancestors. But long before that, it may have been discovered the same way most things were: accident, desperation, or raw curiosity. Now, here's the historical fact. Archaeological evidence shows that root-based psychoactives were used in parts of sub-Saharan Africa as far back as 9,000 years ago. Traces of burnt organic matter found in hearths suggest early experimentation with both medicinal and consciousness-altering plants. While not labeled smoking in the modern sense, inhaling fumes from burning roots or herbs was clearly part of some proto-ritual or healing process. But now let's add the fringe flavor. There are oral traditions passed down in isolated communities that speak of plants used by the spirits themselves, suggesting the smoke wasn't just for humans. Some say these smokes were offerings, not just messages, but meals, that burning a root was like setting a plate for invisible guests. So you're sitting there, slightly trembling, eyes wide, feeling like your bones might float out of your skin, and the village elder leans over and says something simple like, "You're being seen," and you
feel that not heard, not watched, seen as if the smoke has peeled you open like bark, and now the forest knows everything you are. You don't talk for a while. No one does. Someone starts humming. Someone else starts swaying, not to music, but to a rhythm that lives in the dirt. A child starts laughing, and it sounds exactly like the river. This is not a party. This is not recreation. This is not something you do for fun. This is sacred, dangerous, and probably terrifying. But you'll do it again, because something inside you, deep and unexplainable, now needs to. There's a heated debate among ethnobotanists about the nature of these early plant rituals. Were they medicinal, religious, psychological experiments without a lab? Some argue that in pre-literate societies, altered states served as the first textbooks, ways to map the world inside and out. Others argue these were simply survival mechanisms, temporary disconnections from pain, hunger, or grief. But maybe it's both. Maybe the first time someone got high, it wasn't to escape, it was to understand, to get close to something they couldn't reach with their hands or explain with their mouth. And here you are, root smoke still clinging to your hair, sitting in a forest that now pulses like a living heart, wondering what exactly you've tapped into. A power? A hallucination? A deeper truth? You reach for the pouch at your neck, running your fingers over the other roots tucked inside. You won't burn them all tonight. Some are for wounds, some for childbirth. Some, well, no one's brave enough to burn those again. But this one? This strange, bitter root that makes you feel like you've stepped into another version of the world? It's earned a place in your fire. And whether or not you understand what just happened, you'll tell the others. Not in plain words, not directly, but in how you look at the forest differently now, how you listen when it's silent, how you walk a little slower under the trees. Because once you've shared smoke with the unknown, the forest never sounds quite the same again. The jungle doesn't sleep. It never has, and it definitely doesn't for you. There's always something moving, wings slicing the damp air, frogs the size of soup bowls croaking like broken drums, and plants that seem to inhale and exhale without permission. You're deep in the Amazon now, thousands of years before rubber or railroads, and you're about to witness something that even modern science still can't fully explain. You're part of a small tribe tucked along a riverbank that floods half the year and dries into cracked clay the rest. Everything is alive here. Trees that walk slowly, ants that taste like lemons, and fish that climb. If someone told you the vines whisper secrets when you're not listening, you'd believe them. And when someone offers you a carved wooden pipe glowing faintly from embers packed inside, you don't ask questions. It's not tobacco, That much you know. It's something else, dark and flaky, mixed with powdered bark and maybe frog secretion if you're unlucky. The pipe is squat and old, carved with twisting patterns that seem to writhe when you stare too long. You hold it up to your lips, inhale, and instantly regret it. Your throat seizes, your eyes water, the world tilts sideways and then flips inside out. There's no time to panic though, you're already somewhere else. Welcome to an early Amazonian smoke ritual. This one's not for fun, not for vision quests even. This is a healing.
With powdered bark and maybe frog secretion if you're unlucky. The pipe is squat and old, carved with twisting patterns that seem to writhe when you stare too long. You hold it up to your lips, inhale, and instantly regret it. Your throat seizes, your eyes water, the world tilts sideways and then flips inside out. There's no time to panic though, you're already somewhere else. Welcome to an early Amazonian smoke ritual. This one's not for fun, not for vision quests even. This is a healing, and you're the one being healed, though it feels more like being dismantled. The smoke you just sucked in may contain virola, a psychoactive tree resin used by tribes like the Yanomami and Tucano. It's packed with tryptamines, chemical cousins to DMT, and it hits hard and fast when burned. Tonight's healer is a wiry elder with missing teeth and eyes that look like they've seen behind the curtain. He's not chanting exactly, more like coughing and singing at the same time. He fans the smoke toward your chest with a leafy wand, muttering in a language that predates almost everything. You're vaguely aware that you're shaking. That's normal. The visions, those come next. Suddenly, the thatched roof above you dissolves into stars. The fire becomes a mouth. Your limbs feel like they're filled with snakes. You want to scream, but it's not fear. It's just too much. You close your eyes and see your ancestors dancing, or maybe they're fish, or jaguars, or the same thing. You can't tell anymore. Historical fact time. In pre-Columbian South America, numerous tribes practiced smoking rituals using highly psychoactive substances long before any contact with Europeans. They used pipes made from bone or clay, often during ceremonies to heal the sick or communicate with the spirit world. These weren't casual puffs, they were transformative, intense, and sometimes terrifying. But here's the twist. Many of these tribes didn't inhale the smoke directly. Some blew it through hollow reeds into each other's noses. Others wafted it gently across the skin, believing the body could absorb it like dew. The act of smoking wasn't always about combustion and lungs. It was about contact, proximity, presence. The smoke was alive, and getting too close meant getting too close to something bigger than yourself. Now for the fringe. Some shamans describe the smoke as a conscious being, not metaphorically, literally. They say it chooses who sees the truth, that if you disrespect it, laugh, mock it, or come in with a dirty spirit, it'll show you something so horrifying you'll never return to normal. Which raises the question, how did anyone figure this out in the first place? That's where the scholarly debate kicks in. Some anthropologists argue this knowledge came from generations of trial and error, years of people dying or getting violently ill, until someone noticed the right combination. Others say that's statistically impossible. The Amazon holds tens of thousands of plant species. What are the odds that anyone would randomly figure out that scraping this one specific tree at the right time of year, drying its resin, and mixing it with ash from another specific plant would produce visions of the divine? Some say dreams guided the choices. Others believe the plants taught the people. Science rolls its eyes, but also has no better answer. Back to you. You're lying on your side now, someone fanning your back with palm leaves. You're drenched in sweat, but the fire hasn't gone out. The smoke still curls through the air, slow and heavy, clinging to the rafters like lazy spirits. You feel clean, not physically, but deep down where shame and grief tend to hide. You can't remember what you saw, not clearly,
just shapes and voices, and a glowing bird made of leaves that sang your mother's name. You're exhausted, not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, the kind that comes after knowing something you can't unknow. No one claps, no one says you're cured, but someone gives you water, someone touches your shoulder, and someone, probably the healer, laughs softly and says, "It didn't kill you, so that's a good sign." This becomes part of your story now. Maybe you'll never do it again. Maybe you'll train for years to do it better. Maybe you'll try to forget, but the smoke doesn't forget. The jungle doesn't forget. And the next time someone talks about burning something unusual, you'll feel your fingers tremble just a little
Bit. Because this wasn't about escape, this was about return. About remembering what you are when all the layers are stripped away. You rise, still dizzy, and step outside into the green world where vines sway like lullabies and the river murmurs secrets you're not ready to hear yet. But soon, you're standing in the middle of the grasslands, wind hissing low across an ocean of gold. It's dry, wide, endless land without a ceiling. And out here, smoke isn't a metaphor, it's survival. If the fire goes out, you're done. But tonight, the smoke curling from the center of the nomad camp isn't just for cooking or warmth, it's for something else entirely. You're with the Scythians now, the original horseback anarchists of the Eurasian steppe. Fierce, wild, tattooed warriors who buried their dead with gold weapons and often, yes, bongs. Not ornamental, not ceremonial in the look but don't touch kind of way. Functional, used, charred. Herodotus, the Greek historian, gets blamed for exaggerating a lot, but when he described the Scythians in the 5th century BCE as people who throw hemp on hot stones and howl with joy, he might not have been too far off. And you're about to find out why. The setup is simple. A leather tent tied down against the wind, stretched toward around a low fire pit. Inside, there's no chimney, no ventilation, just a handful of smooth, hot stones pulled from the fire and dropped into a bronze bowl. Over those stones, a pile of dry hemp. And just like that, the tent becomes a hot box, a literal one. You're squatting on the ground, eyes already watering. The smoke hits fast, sharp, thick, and strangely sweet. You cough once, then twice, and someone laughs in a way that makes you feel like coughing is a rite of passage. Within minutes, it's impossible to see across the tent. The air pulses, everything seems closer and farther at the same time. Welcome to the ancient steppe sauna. This isn't relaxation, it's revelation. You start to sweat, but not from the heat. It's something deeper, like your body is trying to force out more than just toxins. Your head gets light, your skin tingles. Someone starts singing, off-key, sure, but raw, a voice like dust over drums. Then someone begins to rock forward and back, muttering. You can't hear the words, but they don't need translation. You feel them in your spine. Let's anchor this in a little hard evidence. Archaeologists excavating Scythian burial mounds, kurgans, have found leather bags full of cannabis seeds, bronze cauldrons with carbon traces, and wooden tripods likely used to support canvas tents for ritual fumigation. These weren't accidents. This was a culture that knew what the smoke could do. But here's where things get weird, fringe weird. There's a theory, only whispered in the more eccentric corners of historical anthropology, that the Scythians didn't just use cannabis for visions or rituals, they used it to speak to the dead. Not metaphorically, literally. The idea goes like this. Inside the smoke tent, in that haze of sweat and plant, the barrier between the living and dead thinned. Warriors would inhale, collapse into trance, and converse with the spirits of fallen comrades, to ask questions, receive warnings, or make peace. Sound ridiculous? Probably. But consider this. They buried their dead with weapons pointed skyward. They believed the soul traveled under the ground like a river. They held feasts inside their burial mounds. Their whole belief system revolved around life as a cycle, not a line. And when the wind races across this grassland, you can feel how fragile the veil between worlds might be. There's debate among scholars, of course. Some say the smoke was purely medicinal, a way to dull pain or calm nerves before battle. Others insist it was sacred, a rite of purification. Still others argue it was just a social thing, a Scythian version of passing the joint. But let's be honest, when you build a tent specifically to trap smoke and get as high as humanly possible, you're not just bored.
You're reaching for something. Back in the tent, you feel yourself floating, not up, but out. Like your body is still sweating in the dust, but your mind is galloping across the steppe. You see shapes in the smoke, wolves, horses, a face you thought you forgot. The drum beat is faster now, and someone claps in time. Your heartbeat tries to match it and fails. And then silence. No sound, no fire crackle, just breath and smoke and the heavy knowledge that something just happened, even if you can't explain what.
Eventually, the flap opens. Cold air rushes in, slapping your face like a rebirth. The stars overhead look clearer now, brighter somehow. You stumble out into the dark, dizzy and elated and a little terrified. The others do too, all blinking like newborns. No one talks about what they saw, not in full. Maybe someone jokes, maybe someone cries, but you all know. The smoke showed you something. It always does. And now, every time you see the horizon stretch out, flat and endless, you'll remember the heat, the haze, the way the ground seemed to breathe beneath you. Because on the steppe, where gods ride horses and the past is never far behind, smoke is more than a substance. It's a language, a map, a mirror. And tonight, it just showed you your reflection in a way you'll never quite be able to forget. It's early morning in a world that doesn't have time zones yet. The sun is dragging itself over the edge of the horizon like it's done it 1,000,000 times, and it has. But this sunrise is different. You're in Mesopotamia now, land of temples and floodplains and stories that refuse to stay buried. Everything here smells like dust and river water and something a little sweeter, poppies. You're standing near a small mud brick structure on the outskirts of a growing town, a village really, but it's pretending to be more. People here are starting to write, to measure, to argue over land and gods and where exactly the divine lives. You'd think that would make life more organized. It doesn't, but they're trying. And inside that little structure, someone's burning something strange in a clay bowl. Not wood, not dung, something floral. It's resinous, sticky and brownish, with little black seeds that look like they've been cooked down into syrup. The smell is familiar and completely foreign at once. Earthy, sharp, with a faint bitter trail that lingers in your nostrils like a question. It's opium, or more accurately, the very first version of it. No syringes, no pills, no fancy names, just raw Papava somnifer, the sleep bringer scraped from pods that bleed when cut and hardened into dark lumps. You inhale deeply, not intentionally, it's just in the air, curling like a lazy snake around your ankles into your lungs. The effect is slow but precise. Muscles unclench, thoughts blur. Pain, if you had any, takes 3 steps back and decides to wait outside. You sit down without meaning to, back against the wall, blinking slowly. Someone beside you hums a low chant, ancient words about rivers and moonlight and broken hearts. You don't understand all of it, but you feel it. And the smoke, it's not just soothing, it's sacred. Now, here's the historical anchor. We've got strong evidence that the Sumerians, one of the world's first civilizations, were cultivating opium poppies around 3400 BCE. They even had a name for it, Holgil, which translates to joy plant. It was part of their pharmacopoeia, used in medicine, ritual, and possibly even divination. Clay tablets from later Mesopotamian cultures describe mixtures of herbs and resins burned to appease gods or heal ailments. And opium is right there in the recipe. But here's where it gets weird. Some fringe scholars suggest that priests didn't just use opium to help people sleep or dull pain. They used it to see, not metaphorically, literally. Burn enough of it in an enclosed temple chamber, and your body relaxes to the point where the conscious mind starts slipping through cracks it didn't know it had. Visions follow, dreams with teeth, messages from gods or what feel like gods. You start to sway a little, still seated, still breathing in that sweet, bitter air. Someone places a cool stone on your forehead. Maybe they're a healer.
maybe a priest, maybe just someone who didn't want you to pass out face first into the incense burner. They murmur something. You laugh, not because it's funny, but because the sound escapes without warning. Here's the debate. Was this all intentional or just a happy or dangerous accident? Some historians argue that early use of opium was strictly medicinal. Sore joints, coughing, battle wounds, nothing mystical. Others say no way. When people are surrounded by deities that live in the wind and the stars and the rivers, every shift in consciousness is a sacred event. Burning opium in a temple wasn't just about soothing, it was about contact, reaching through the veil. You can't answer that because you're half-weighted dreaming with your eyes open. You see a bird with 6 wings and a human face. You hear the Tigris River speaking your name in reverse. You taste figs, even though you haven't eaten in hours. And then silence. Thick, luxurious silence. It folds around you like a weighted blanket for the soul. You exhale long and slow and realize you haven't moved in what feels like days. When you finally do, it's only to lie back and stare at the smoke drifting up through a hole in the ceiling. It curls in a slow spiral, like it's returning to wherever it came from. In time, the effects fade, not abruptly, not cruelly, gently, like a
Talks about it, at least not directly. You'll hear whispers about the joy room or the temple of dreams, but no one says what happens inside. Because even here, where gods have names and cities rise like mountains, there are still mysteries, still doors no one fully understands. So next time someone offers you something bitter and sticky in a little carved bowl and tells you to sit down, breathe, and listen, know this: you're not just treating a headache, you're stepping into the oldest pharmacy in the world, one that never separated medicine from magic or healing from vision. And the smoke, it knows the difference. The sun is brutal. Even in the morning, it bounces off pale stone and golden sand, turning everything into one big shimmering illusion. You're in Egypt now, not the tourist trap version with selfie sticks and camel rides, but the real one, the old one, before Cleopatra, before hieroglyphs became decoration. This is the Egypt of gods who bleed gold and priests who know too much. You're walking through a temple complex that feels like it was carved straight from the bones of the earth. Columns rise like petrified papyrus stalks. Incense drifts lazily through the air, slow and sticky, clinging to your skin like invisible silk. Every surface glows faintly in the rising light, as if the limestone itself remembers something sacred. And at the center of it all, beneath a vaulted ceiling painted with stars that never move, is the altar and the smoke. You approach it cautiously, even though no one stops you. A priest stands nearby, head shaved, robes simple, hands gentle, but stained with years of burning things that probably weren't meant to be burned. He's holding a censer, a bowl on chains, and gently swinging it side to side, releasing waves of something both intoxicating and strangely mathematical. You catch a breath of it and nearly stumble. It's kaifi, a blend so complicated you think it was alchemy. Honey, wine, raisins, myrrh, frankincense, juniper berries, cinnamon, and probably something secret no one ever wrote down. It smells like sweet rot and heaven and your grandmother's attic all at once, and it hits. Not like a punch, more like a hand pressing softly on your chest, saying, "Sit down, be still. You're about to meet someone important." Let's talk historical fact. Kaifi was real, and not just real, documented, revered, protected. Recipes have been found on temple walls and in medical papyri, detailing 20 or more ingredients and hours of preparation. It was used in healing, prayer, sleep, and offerings to the gods, especially Ra and Osiris. Burning kaifi wasn't a casual air freshener, it was a key, and the smoke, a path. And here's the thing, this wasn't just ritual, it was deeply chemical. Some of the ingredients in kaifi, when heated, release compounds known to calm the nervous system and trigger altered states. You wouldn't call it a high by modern standards, but you also wouldn't trust yourself to do taxes after a few minutes of it. You sit near the altar, not right up front, no one gets that close unless they're trained, but close enough to breathe deeply. The air is thick with time. Every inhale feels like sipping from a cup passed down for centuries. You feel your body soften, your mind slow. The symbols on the wall stop looking like drawings and start looking like instructions. Someone starts chanting, low and rhythmic. The language isn't yours, but it doesn't matter. It's not about understanding, it's about alignment. Here's where the fringe enters. Some scholars believe that kaifi and other temple incenses were carefully engineered to induce mild trance states in priests and oracles, not visions of dancing hippos or anything wild, more like subtle openings of perception and attunement. They weren't looking for escape, they were tuning the radio to divine frequency. You're breathing in that same smoke now, eyes fluttering, hands resting on your knees. The walls around you seem to pulse gently, not in a terrifying way, but in the way your heartbeat pulses when you really listen to it. A shaft of sunlight cuts through a high window, catching the rising smoke and turning it into a glowing column that stretches from stone to sky. And then something happens. It's small, but unmistakable. A whisper that isn't a whisper. A sense that someone, something, is looking back at you from inside the smoke. You don't move. You don't speak. You just sit there feeling completely known. Then it's gone. No flash, no thunderclap, just a gentle fade, like a dream slipping out the back door before you wake. You blink. The priest is still swinging the censer. The chant continues, but you feel shifted, like you've passed through something or it passed through you. And this is where the real debate kicks in. Were these temple rituals designed to bring people closer to the gods or to replace them entirely? Some historians argue that the priests, cloaked in smoke and ceremony, weren't just intermediaries. They became divine themselves, at least temporarily. The scent, the rhythm, the setting, all engineered to blur the line between human and sacred. Others call that nonsense, say it was just pageantry, political theater with a good aroma. But you, having sat here long enough for your knees to ache and your breath to steady, aren't so sure. You felt something in the smoke, something old, something aware. Eventually, the ceremony ends. The censer is lowered, the smoke thins and twists upward, vanishing like mist into the bright morning sky. People begin to move again, slowly, reverently. You rise with them, a little unsteady, like the floor's forgotten how to hold you. Outside, the heat hits harder. The real world, with its markets and donkeys and shouting vendors, feels almost absurd in its brightness. But the scent of kifi clings to your robes, to your skin, to your hair. You'll smell it for days, maybe forever. Because what you breathed in back there wasn't just incense, it was memory, it was myth. It was the language of the gods, spoken in curls of smoke and swallowed in silence. The stone steps are slick with age, polished by centuries of sandaled feet and nervous pilgrims. You climb them anyway, one slow breath at a time, even though the air is already getting thin. Above you, perched like a riddle on the flank of Mount Parnassus, waits the Temple of Apollo. Below you, the world spreads out in soft blue and green waves, olive groves, winding paths, and a sky that seems to curve in on itself. You're in ancient Greece now, and everything smells like laurel leaves and ambition. This is Delphi, the so-called navel of the world, where people hike for days or weeks just to ask one impossible question and hope for a half-useful answer. Most leave confused, a few leave blessed, all leave changed. And at the center of it all, a woman seated above a crack in the earth, breathing in something you probably shouldn't get too close to. The Pythia, the oracle of Delphi, isn't who you expected. She's not draped in gold or floating or speaking in perfect booming prophecies. She's just a woman, middle-aged, tired-looking, knees tucked beneath her, a shallow bowl of burning leaves and herbs at her feet. The smoke that curls up from it isn't thick, it's thin, ghostly, almost invisible. But the way she breathes it in, you know it's potent,
You can feel it from here. You crouch nearby, trying not to look too interested. The priestess beside her waves a sprig of bay leaves and murmurs a question offered by a far-off king, something about war or crops or betrayal, standard stuff. The oracle doesn't speak right away. Her eyes are closed. Her mouth moves, but only barely. Then she starts to whisper, then chant, then cry out. The words don't make sense, at least not in any language you know, but they pour out of her like water from a cracked jar, rushing, strange, relentless. The priest listens. He translates. He trims the madness into something poetic. The king will get his answer. It will probably be vague. It will probably come true anyway. Now, here's your historical anchor. Delphi was real. The oracle was real. For over 1,000 years, the most powerful people in the Mediterranean came here to ask her questions. And while the what is well documented, the how is still debated. Some believe the oracle entered trance-like states through fasting and prayer. Others point to something a little smokier. In the 1990s, geologists studying the site found a fault line directly beneath the temple, specifically beneath the Adyton, the small inner chamber where the oracle sat. The fault emits ethylene gas, a sweet-smelling hydrocarbon that, in the right concentration, induces euphoria, lightheadedness, and hallucinations. Translation: the oracle may have been high as Olympus itself. You glance at the brazier in front of her, now glowing faintly. The leaves inside aren't just bay, there's something else, myrrh maybe, or wild herbs plucked from the mountain. The smoke twists upward and brushes the oracle's face, and her eyes snap open, not looking at you, but through you. And that's where things get fringe. Some modern mystics believe the oracle wasn't just breathing in mind-altering gas, she was entering a shared frequency, tapping into something older and deeper than individual thought. They point to similarities between her trances and those of Siberian shamans or Amazonian healers. It's not just about chemistry, they argue. It's about location, ritual, timing, maybe even intent. Of course, skeptics roll their eyes. They say the whole thing was pageantry, a well-rehearsed act, guided by priests.
You're no longer in a room. You're inside a formula, a living equation. And here's the debate. Were these rituals religious, medicinal, or early chemistry? Some scholars argue that Taoist alchemists were proto-scientists, discovering basic chemical reactions through trial and error. Others say they were mystics first, scientists by accident, interested in balance, not outcomes. They weren't trying to make things explode, they were trying to stop death. But what if those were the same thing? You open your eyes, unsure how long it's been. The monks are still seated, eyes closed now, faces utterly calm. The smoke is nearly gone, but its aftertaste still lingers on your tongue, a faint bitterness, like burned orange peel and iron. You feel heavy and light at the same time, like you've been condensed into something more efficient. One monk finally speaks, just one word. You don't understand it, or maybe you do, just not in a way you could explain out loud. You leave the room slowly, blinking into the pale morning light. The wind is picked up, the clouds roll low, grazing the mountaintop like they're curious too. You feel changed, not dramatically, not violently, just retuned. You won't tell anyone what you saw. They wouldn't believe you, or worse, they'd believe wrong. But you'll remember, every time you smell pine sap or see steam curling from a hot stone, you'll remember what it felt like to breathe in a secret older than language. Because here, smoke wasn't just a byproduct of fire, it was the fire's whisper, and you finally listened. You're crouched near a fire again, but this one burns lower than most. It doesn't crackle, it murmurs. The wood hisses softly under a layer of white ash, like it's afraid to draw attention. Around you, thick stone walls close in. Not a house, not a hut, but a chamber, one used for things far older than cooking. The walls are painted in spirals, in jaguar spots, in red and black, and sometimes blue. A
color that shouldn't exist here, but somehow does. You're in a Mayan temple now, hidden beneath jungle vines and centuries of stone silence, and you're not alone. To your left, a man presses a thorny obsidian shard into his tongue, not dramatically, not for show, just a small cut, just enough blood to mix with the dried herbs piled in a ceramic bowl. To your right, a woman whispers over a stack of copal, crushing it between her fingers and feeding it slowly into the fire. The smoke that rises is thick and white, fragrant in a way that doesn't comfort. It commands. It wraps around your head and pulls. You're in a bloodletting ceremony, a rite performed to communicate with the gods, the ancestors, the unseen forces that hover just behind the veil of reality. And the veil? It's very, very thin tonight. The Mayans didn't burn things just for aroma or mood. They believed smoke was a messenger, visible breath that rose to the heavens, carrying prayers, pain, and memory. Blood was the offering, smoke was the courier. The two were inseparable. The bowl before you now, shaped like a crouched toad, mouth agape, is filling with a mixture of crushed plants, sacred resins, and yes, human blood. You know because you just added yours. The smoke that emerges when the mixture ignites is unlike anything you've ever seen. It pulses in columns like it wants to be read. It doesn't waft, it ascends straight up through the hole in the temple ceiling toward the sky or whatever waits beyond it. You breathe it in, not because anyone tells you to, but because your body does it automatically, like it knows that this smoke isn't optional, it's a key. Here's a fact to hold on to. Archaeological evidence from Maya city-states like Copan, Tikal, and Palenque shows an astonishing variety of incense burners and smoking vessels, some elaborately carved, others simple and functional. Residue analyses have confirmed the presence of psychoactive substances, including copal, cacao, and possibly even tobacco variants bred for intensity. But what's even more fascinating is the presence of chemical traces consistent with morning glory seeds, which contain LSA, a compound with effects similar to LSD. That's right, Maya rituals may have included smoke laced with natural hallucinogens, administered in enclosed sacred spaces where blood was spilled and stars were summoned. Fringe alert. Some scholars speculate that certain Mayan priest kings entered these ceremonies not to speak to gods metaphorically, but to merge with them, believing that the right combination of suffering, smoke, and silence could temporarily erase the line between mortal and divine. They'd rise from the smoke, not as themselves, but as vessels, eyes glowing, voice deeper, transformed. And what you're feeling now? That transformation. The room begins to flicker, not because the fire flares, but because your perception slips. The jaguar spots painted on the walls begin to move. The tail lashes, eyes blink. You turn your head, and someone or something is sitting beside you. It's wearing a mask of bone, but beneath that, it has your mother's eyes. You can't speak, you wouldn't dare. The figure leans in and exhales into your face. The smoke it breathes is hot and sweet and tastes like endings. You don't remember closing your eyes, but when you open them again, you're lying flat on your back, stars visible through the temple's open ceiling. Someone is singing, a low, throaty hum that vibrates in your ribs. You're not sure how much time has passed. You're not sure what day it is, but your hands are still trembling, and the scent of copal clings to your hair like a promise. Here's the debate. Did participants in these rituals really see gods, or were they just hallucinating under the influence of smoke and blood loss? Some anthropologists say it doesn't matter, that the experience was real enough to shape culture, religion, and history. Others say the Mayans were master manipulators of light, sound, and chemicals, using smoke and suggestion,
and interpreted however politics required, a theater of smoke and riddles. And honestly, maybe both things are true. You lean in just a little closer, watching the way the oracle's breath changes when she inhales. Her spine straightens, her fingers twitch,
Her lips move faster. You can almost taste the air she's breathing, sweet, metallic, slightly wrong. It's not incense, it's something the mountain is exhaling. And when she speaks this time, you hear a word. You recognize your own name. You stumble back. No one notices, or if they do, they don't care. This is Delphi. Strange things happen here. Eventually, the ceremony winds down. The brazier dies. The oracle slumps forward, exhausted, soaked in sweat. Two attendants move in, gently lifting her and offering water and cloths. She doesn't speak again, not today, maybe not for weeks. The smoke took something from her. It always does. You leave the temple slowly, blinking at the sun, unsure if what you heard was real. But the air tastes different now, sharper, like something ancient passed through you and left a mark. And here's the debate that still rattles in academic halls. Did the Pythia actually believe what she said? Was she a puppet or a prophet? Was the smoke just a drug or a doorway? You don't know. You're not a philosopher. You're just someone who got a little too close to the edge and breathed in something ancient. But now, every time you smell burning leaves or catch a strange breeze coming out of nowhere, your chest tightens just slightly. You remember the way her voice rang out from that stone chamber. You remember your name whispered by smoke. And you wonder, was it a trick or was it an answer you weren't ready to understand? The mountains are steep, but you're used to that by now. You've been climbing all morning through pine-slicked trails and goat paths that don't look like paths at all, just zigzagged scars on stone. Your breath fogs in the cool air, thin than you'd like, and the monastery finally appears through the mist like it's always been there, hidden from the impatient. You're in ancient China now, not the fireworks and dragons version, but the hush of ink-stained scrolls and monks who speak more with silence than with words. It's early, somewhere in the Zhou or early Han dynasty, and you're in Taoist territory, where alchemy isn't about gold and riches, it's about transformation, inner and outer, spirit and body, and fire plays a central role. You're ushered into a small stone room that smells like pine resin and something unfamiliar, bitter, metallic, almost like rain on rust. There's a fire pit in the center, shallow and controlled. Around it sit 3 men, each robed in worn silk, each with the same long, unreadable stare. On a shelf to your right, ceramic flasks, lacquered boxes, little bags tied with twine, herbs, minerals, odd scraps of fungus. You've stepped directly into a very old experiment. One of the monks grinds something with a stone pestle, dark red shavings from what looks like a root mixed with crumbles of sulfur yellow powder. Another carefully unwraps a thin sliver of what might be cinnabar or mercury sulfide, known for its glowing hue and its inconvenient toxicity. They say immortality has a price. Sometimes the price is neurological damage. But the third monk leans over the flame and drops a pinch of powder onto a glowing coal. A curl of smoke rises. It's pale gray at first, then turns an eerie blue. He doesn't wave it around. He just watches it drift upward, eyes half-lidded. Then he breathes in, slow and deliberate, and gestures for you to do the same. You hesitate. You smelled plenty of strange things over the past few journeys, but this one is different. It doesn't just enter your nose, it crawls. It curls up into your sinuses and unfolds like a blueprint in your brain. Everything slows down. Your heartbeat becomes a drum, then an echo, then something you can't find. You sit down hard. Historical fact. Ancient Taoist alchemy was not just about strange elixirs and philosopher's stones. It often involved inhalation, fumes produced by burning or chemically combining herbs, minerals, and metals. Texts from as early as the 4th century BCE describe smoke meditations, where practitioners would breathe in controlled vapors, believed to purify the body and align the soul with the Tao, the ineffable cosmic order. Some of these concoctions included dangerous substances, arsenic, mercury, lead, but they were handled with a kind of
Sure what day it is, but your hands are still trembling, and the scent of copal clings to your hair like a promise. Here's the debate. Did participants in these rituals really see gods, or were they just hallucinating under the influence of smoke and blood loss? Some anthropologists say it doesn't matter, that the experience was real enough to shape culture, religion, and history. Others say the Mayans were master manipulators of light, sound, and chemicals, using smoke and suggestion to create theaters so intense even the actors believed it. You sit up slowly. A priest offers you water infused with cacao and crushed chili. It burns going down. You thank him without speaking. The fire has died down now. The toad-shaped bowl is empty. The blood has soaked into the ashes and the smoke gone. But something is still here, in your lungs, behind your eyes, a presence you didn't arrive with. As you walk out into the jungle night, the trees seem taller, the air heavier. You look up at the stars, and for the briefest moment, they look back. You don't know what they're saying, but you know it's important. You're barefoot, covered in dust, and walking along a path that winds through a landscape so dry even the air seems brittle. But this is not just any dusty trail. It's a pilgrimage route, one that countless feet have worn into the rock over centuries. You're in India now, early India, somewhere between the Vedic age and the rise of the Gupta Empire. The land pulses with sound, drums in the distance, chanting, bells, and every hill seems to wear the scent of smoke. You approach a gathering near a riverside. The crowd isn't large, but everyone is focused, silent in that particular way that only happens when the sacred is close. At the center, a man with long ash-smeared dreadlocks is squatting beside a clay bowl. He's rolling something. Not a cigarette, not exactly. It's bulkier, cone-shaped, packed tight with a dark green herb, then wrapped in a leaf. When he lights it, the smell punches the air with sharpness and sweetness. You've never smelled anything like it. Then he inhales long and deep until his chest swells like a drum. This is a chillum, a pipe, a prayer, a lightning rod. The man passes it to the next seeker, who bows before accepting it. Then another. Eventually it gets to you, and even though your lungs don't exactly agree with the concept, you take a breath and everything slows. The chillum is hot, rough, sacred. You cough like an amateur, which you are, but the world softens around the edges. The trees blur into each other, the river starts to hum, and somewhere behind your eyes, you hear your own name being spoken by something older than language. Let's drop in a historical anchor. Cannabis has been used in the Indian subcontinent for thousands of years, both medically and spiritually. The Atharva Veda, one of the oldest known texts from India, refers to cannabis as one of the 5 sacred plants and calls it a source of happiness, a liberator. But it wasn't always eaten. Smoking, especially through chillums, became a key part of Shaivite tradition associated with the god Shiva, who's often portrayed as the original yogi, high on bhang, hashish, or something even stranger. You're sitting with sadhus now, wandering holy men who've given up worldly life to seek union with the divine. They believe smoking the sacred herb is not an indulgence, but an offering, not a vice, but a form of meditation. They don't just smoke to feel different, they smoke
To become different, one of them speaks softly mid-inhale. This is how we burn the ego. The chillum passes again. Your body feels loose, floaty, but your mind strangely focused. Every sound sharpens. The chant in the background grows louder. You can't tell if it's in your ears or your blood. The man beside you points to a small bronze idol, Shiva sitting in lotus, a snake coiled around his neck, eyes half-lidded, lips curled in a knowing smile. You smoke to meet him,
the man says, or to remember that you already have. Here's your French twist. Some aesthetics claim that certain cannabis rituals, when timed with specific lunar phases and breath work, can trigger samadhi, a state of complete spiritual absorption where the self dissolves. No thoughts, no ego, just infinite awareness. Not death, not dreaming, just being. A few accounts even describe people slipping into trances for days, not asleep, not awake, just gone. Skeptics chalk it up to poor nutrition and a little too much hash, but the sadhus, they just smile and offer the chillum again. And now the debate. Was this just cultural myth-making, a way to dress up a drug habit in spiritual robes? Or were these ancient practitioners unlocking something real, something we've forgotten in our rush to label, regulate, and suppress? Because sitting here now, swaying slightly, feeling your breath melt into the wind, it doesn't feel like you're running from anything. It feels like you've stepped inside something that was waiting for you. A quiet room behind your thoughts, a place where Shiva sits forever still, watching galaxies form and fade with the same amused glance. Eventually, the ritual winds down. The chillum is tapped clean. Ash falls into the fire. Someone offers you water from a gourd. You drink, tasting clay and grass and a sweetness that wasn't there before. No one claps, no one calls it enlightenment. You just sit there, blinking, heart steady, watching the sun begin to slide toward the horizon like it's in no particular rush. And for the first time in a while, you feel the same way as you walk back along the path, your feet moving on their own. The scent of that sacred smoke still lingers in your hair, in your clothes, behind your teeth. Not heavy, not clawing, just there, like a reminder. Because maybe you didn't find God today, but maybe you walked past him, and maybe he smiled. The ground is hard-packed dirt. Your knees ache just from crouching on it, but everyone else seems fine, so you pretend you are too. There's a hush in the air, broken only by the quiet crackle of embers in a shallow bowl and the faint sound of someone blowing across the top of a hollowed-out bone. You're in North America now, pre-colonial, pre-anything you'd recognize, deep in the traditions of the First Nations, where smoke doesn't just rise, it speaks. The ceremony has already begun. There's no dramatic entrance, no chanting in tongues, no fireballs, just the slow, deliberate movements of elders who carry bundles of sage and cedar, twisting them with a rhythm born from memory. One of them lifts a long, slender pipe, elegant, hand-carved, sacred, and fills it with a blend of tobacco and dried herbs that don't smell like anything you'd find at a gas station. They smell older, wilder, like thunder and pine and promises. You're handed the pipe with both hands, palms up, not because it's fragile, but because it's alive. The act of passing it is half the point. You raise it to the sky, then to the ground, then to your chest. You've seen this done before. This time, you're doing it, not recognizing but memory, embodied.